right, welcome back. And of course, let's welcome a young, brilliant mind, of course, Mr. Rinaldo Belfon. And he has been selected from among 1,800 applicants for this Youth Ambassador initiative undertaken by the U.S. Embassy and, of course, from 37 countries. Good morning and welcome, Mr. Rinaldo Belfon.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Very good. All right, so but just talk a little bit about yourself. Obviously, you run a supermarket. You are a young leader in so many different ways. Yeah. But let's talk a little bit about who is Rinaldo Belfon.
Wow. Okay, great question. So I have to start from the beginning. Yeah. So I have to admit to having split loyalties.
All right.
So I grew up in Canaan, yes, but my entire family, both sides, is from Mason Hall.
Right.
So I don't know, you know, actually both my parents.
But I know, but they don't know. Whitey, Ian Pollard is your father.
Assemblyman Ian Pollard.
Yeah, oh, sorry. And of course, all right. So yeah, so that background, obviously. Yes. Two brilliant families, obviously, the Belfons and, of course, the Pollards and so on. Yep. So, so after what happened, you did go to university. Let's talk a little bit about your educational background.
All right. So, I actually went to university to study science. I had no interest in business whatsoever. I did go just to things in a certain way, so I ended up falling into business because both sides of my family into business. Mm-hmm. And so far, I have to say that things have been going pretty well, thanks be to God. Mm-hmm. And so our business primarily focuses on real estate and investing. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to promote creating a community because, you know, financial literacy and just taking control of your finances in general is a serious problem in Tobago, and we're trying to do our best to help address that.
Okay. All right. So you were selected, and 1,800 applicants is a real tough field, and of course, intelligent young people as yourself. When you got the call, how you felt?
Well, it was amazing, man. And I thank my parents and my entire CIRO team for pushing me to apply. Because honestly, I wasn't planning to. I was like, honestly, I wasn't sure I would be selected, but to be selected was really was a great feeling.
All right, so you're going to be among 280 young people from varying parts of the Caribbean and America. All right. So, where are you? Well, are you going to be a motivator? What role are you playing? I mean, as ambassador from Trinidad and Tobago, from Tobago in particular. Right. But what is the function that you are designated to play?
All right. So the program is unique in that how it's set up is that young leaders from across the entire Latin America and Caribbean region will travel to the U.S. to meet up with a business leader in the U.S. to help learn best practices and just a transfer of ideas. Mm-hmm. So it's a one-on-one program. So each person will be sent to the U.S. for about a month to 6 weeks, I believe, to learn and interact one-on-one with a business leader. And the whole idea is that not only will we be learning best practices from them, but we could also transfer some of our knowledge to the U.S. hosts. Mm-hmm. Right?
And you have a lot of knowledge to impart, given that you manage one of the leading supermarkets in Tobago yes, and has won an award recently. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay, well, again, so we won Viewport Supermarket, which is one of my family businesses, won an award by the Supermarket Association about 3 weeks ago. And again, this is testament to the quality of work done by the management and the staff over the years. And again, that was a great feeling because it was voted on by the customers, the people that we serve every day. And for your customers to acknowledge you in that way, it was really a humbling experience, man. And so we're hoping to win another award next year. So look forward to great service, continued service for people.
All right, and you were instrumental in this book, the Value Investor Handbook. Yeah? Tell us about this, and let me just, guys, if you could just get a zoom in, and you were the author of this book.
That's correct.
And tell us what was and this led to you being recognized, thereby being selected for this Youth Ambassador. Tell us what role did this play? Well, I just explained it, but give us a little more detail as how this got the international recognition, should I say.
Right. So the book is called The Value Investor's Handbook, a guide to stock investing. And so it's actually launching on February the 14th. So only persons who are part of our Patreon community at the moment have access to it, but from the 14th it will be available for the public. And so the idea behind it is that we want people to start taking control of their investment future. And so we're going to show everyone step by step during this ebook how to start buying stocks, not just locally, but international stocks. So your Facebooks, your Amazons, your Googles. And a lot of people don't know, but you could actually do it right here at home, in your kitchen, in Tobago. And so in an environment where many persons have had their livelihoods affected by the pandemic, we, and I guess by extension the US Embassy, saw this as an opportunity for persons right here at home. Once you have an internet connection, you have access to one of the largest asset markets in the world. And this could be a way to supplement or even replace your sources of income. And so we're showing people how to take the tentative steps in that market. But we realize that Tobagonians like one-on-one, they like conversations and workshops and that sort of thing.
Right.
So following up on the book, we plan to have training sessions in person.
In person, because that's it. All right, but let me, just recently we did a series on motivating the youth. It was called Tobago, the success story of those who would have, and it was aimed towards motivating young people who believe the only option is a life of crime. Yeah. And we did a series, and well, I guess you're here now, so we'll more or less use this opportunity, just a little bit, because you're going out there, you already are a success story, and you're going to motivate others, maybe, I don't know, of course, you're going to interact with the US businessmen and so on. But so given that you can stay at home and invest and earn, to young people out there who believe that there's no other option, but Miss Noel, and pass by Danbo any day, you see them fellas just wasting their life away, and so on. Tell us about, how do you get involved in making something of yourselves that can contribute to society, because that's what you're doing, as young as you are. So talk to us and the young people out there as far as that's concerned.
I guess the first question is understanding what is your why. And for me personally, my why I would want to do something like this is basically scripturally based. The Bible tells us that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So you see that your responsibility not only transcends you, but is 2 generations down the road. And so with that responsibility in mind, I think it behooves us to take advantage of all the opportunities that come your way. And not to offend you or anyone else from previous generations, but I think this is the best time to be a young person.
Wow.
Because the opportunities available to you, they're coming out of the woodwork. And so I have to give credit also to the state, because the state has made a lot of opportunities available to young people, and I would really encourage everyone to grasp them. Now, unfortunately, I think Tobagonians sometimes suffer from a complex where they may feel a little bit less than, not just our Trinidad counterparts, but people from across the world. But I want to tell everybody in Tobago, all the young people, you are inferior to no one, and you are better than many. You can achieve excellence, you can achieve world-class levels of accomplishment right here in Tobago. And it is my prayer and my hope that Tobagonians believe in themselves more, because I believe that's the foundation towards excelling.
Excellent. All right, what we do, when we come back, we talk about investing in stocks and bonds and so on. And when you hear that, you think it's only for white people or foreigners. But we can do that. You just explain that in this valid Investor's Handbook, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we continue our conversation with our youth ambassador, Rinaldo Belfon. See you after the break. Welcome back, and we continue our conversation with Mr. Rinaldo Belfon, and of course, he's selected a youth ambassador from Tobago, and of course he will join many others. Thank you guys. Traveling to the United States for 4 weeks, and of course let's talk a little bit about that, after which the program concludes in Washington DC in July. So so when do you leave though?
The date is yet to be set.
Yeah, because so I'm seeing July would be the end of it, so it means therefore it would be in June. If it's 4 weeks, 1 month, all right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the investments that young people can make. Right. Let's say that you had to do a presentation. I am just thinking out of the box. And you had to do your presentation speaking to motivating young people in terms of the investments that they can make. Right. Given that you would have crafted this valued Investor's Handbook, let's talk about, and you spoke about online. Bill Gates and all of those people made their billions online. Let me go there. So talk to us about what investments. I mean, you get to the stocks and the bonds, Wall Street, and all of that, on a daily basis, the NACTA, and what have you. NASDAQ. Let's go.
All right. So investing is very simple, or it can be very simple. And contrary to popular belief, the simple investing strategies work best. You see all the people who run in down, day trading and that sort of stuff. You actually find that those people, and in fact most professional investors, terribly underperform the general market. And you mentioned Bill Gates and some of these guys. And so what we have done at Zero is that we study the best practices of some of these people. And what you find is that Warren Buffett, who is the greatest investor of all time in most people's opinions, says that you only need two things to be rich. One is an investment that compounds at a pretty good, decent rate, and time. And young people have those two things at their disposal. You have a lot of time, so talking about 20, 30, 40 years for funds to compound, and they say compounding is the eighth wonder of the world. So young people, you have time on your side, and I encourage people to take advantage of it. And in terms of finding the right investment vehicle, that also is very simple. Not everyone has the time to research on individual stocks like your Facebooks and your Amazons. But what we encourage in the book, and what some of the greatest investors encourage, is rather than buy individual stocks, you buy an index fund, which is a collection, a basket of individual stocks, about 400 or 500. The most popular being the Standard & Poor's 500. So it's the 500 top US companies, and you hold that for preferably your entire life. And what you find is that compounds at such a rate, no matter it goes up or goes down. Because I remember reading a statistic that if you invested on the worst possible day in the stock market, which was during World War II, and held it for 40 years, as Warren Buffett and others would have done, that $10,000 invested during the heights of the war in World War II would have compounded to over 10 million by the time you're ready to retire. No, I have a retirement plan, and I could tell you my retirement plan with the insurance company wouldn't not compounding at that rate. So it shows you that you, as a person at home, could do much better than the professionals that you pay tons and tons of fees to, just by keeping it simple.
All right, so you spoke a language there that I would have a while to, it would take a while, because you see, right, so, given that, let me point to a particular investment that people are gravitating to, and I want to ask you, I'm not hearing much about it, was the cryptocurrency.
Right.
And what does that mean? What does it speak to? And how do you earn? Just a little bit, not necessarily going into details. And is it still valid?
I think I know what you're talking about. I don't think it's, cryptocurrency in general is I guess, a means of exchanging funds. But I think I know the program that you're talking about, but we're not going to call any names. Again, let's go back to scripture. The scripture tells us that wealth gathered slowly will multiply. But when you try to gather it all at once, you will come to ruin.
Wow. So, what part of the scripture? But I didn't learn. Listen, I'm in church. I'm in Sunday school. Listen, you are brilliant.
I think it's Proverbs 3. Somewhere in the early Proverbs, man.
I will read it up. All right, but let's come to it. So, in other words, let me go back now. Given that you said wealth accumulated slowly, is far more value than that you want to grab all at once.
That's right.
All right, so let me leave that cryptocurrency and come to susu.
Right.
A simple family susu. That's an investment. Obviously, it's a saving cycle. And let's talk about what Tobago had in the early days, the cooperative system.
Right.
You know that the Jews and other cultures outside of Tobago uses that system. Just the other day, Mr. Vidal spoke about leasing the two ferries to earn that can do inter-Caribbean service. And I spoke about Corporate Tobago coming together. I'm talking about a cooperative. So let's talk that kind of investment possibilities that can earn slowly, but eventually would reach where we are to reach. So let's say a few months. Would it be advisable to invest in something that you believe in strongly, may not necessarily be viable given the challenges that may be confronting it. The startup, for example, to lease may cost us too much. To get the captain and crew to run this vessel to and from the Caribbean may not. What do you need to do in that circumstance? Given that you don't really see the big picture, but you believe that this initiative can work, how do you advise an investor in that regard?
All right, let me deal with the first part of the question regarding susus and the like. I think, we often think that traditional knowledge isn't important anymore, and that is to our detriment. You see, the lessons learned by our elders still have value, and I think that a traditional susu, let me say
yes, of course.
Yeah, okay, I think they call it susu nowadays. Right. The traditional susu, I think, is a great first step in helping to develop your financial plans going forward and develop the right discipline, because discipline is important.
Right.
And I really encourage people to use that as, get the children involved in it from an early age. You're never too early to start a piggy bank. I don't know if children still have those.
Right.
I still have my piggy bank.
Okay.
So it's a good place to start, a good foundation. And I guess as you get older and more mature, learn a bit more, you could then develop into joining a cooperative or a credit union, that sort of thing. And so you find that the collaborative efforts in the cooperatives,
yes,
they have yielded fruit, because some of the top real estate in Scarborough is owned by a cooperative that was formed. This had to be like 50, 60 years ago.
Exactly.
Right. Now, concerning the matters relating to the ferry, now I'm not an expert in that area, so I can't speak on it emphatically. But what I can say is that business people often think that business people take huge risk. And that's the hallmark of being a businessman, a cowboy who take risks. Left, right, and center. No, business is about managing risk. So I guess the first step would be to do an analysis. It doesn't even have to be a deep analysis or a feasibility study to see what the potential to get back some revenue from any venture really is before diving in. And even my own younger brother, he recently started a clothing company, and he wanted people to invest in it. And he came to me for money, and I said, what you need to do is show me a plan, even if it's one page, and show me what your plan is. Excellent. And then I can make an informed decision if to invest. Right. So he didn't like it, but he went back to the drawing board and he did it. I know, I'm proud to say that he has a thriving clothing line behind him. Man.
So you have to have a plan, basically, so for that to take off. All right, so we're getting ready to send you off. Obviously, you said it's roughly in June, July, thereabout. And of course, I said 280 young leaders from across 37 countries, Latin America, the Caribbean, and Canada, and of course, all right. So and entrepreneurs from different parts and so on. But let's just get to, as we get ready to close, what are you looking forward to most on this trip?
What am I looking forward to most? So I can't tell you all my plans for zero. But one of the ultimate long-term plans is that we want to make it much more easily accessible for persons to take control of the financial future through apps apps like Acorns, which is an app in the US where rather than accepting your small change, if you have a 25 cents left from the cash register, that will automatically go to your bank account, into a stock investing portfolio. So that is one of the things that we have in the pipeline coming. So it's really an opportunity to learn the best practice from people who have done it, because we have the same IT engineers and software programmers available right here locally to replicate whatever the US is doing.
Right. Well, I'm hearing that up so far in the conversation, you have not said applied for a job as a young person. You are actually speaking about entrepreneurs, and of course, clearly, this is what this would do when you end up in this program that will hosted by the US. And you all morning you have spoken to utilizing your time to invest more or less in yourself. You didn't say it in those words. We have trained, or we send our children to school to become employees of whichever company or which government firm or government office and so on. Given that, let's say that you have to again make a presentation while out there in encouraging young people to become entrepreneurs, just like yourself. Talk to us from that standpoint and what is required for the confidence to be built for them to launch forward with their own career path in doing their own businesses and so on.
Okay. So there's a opinion that Tobagoans typically don't like business, but I think that's totally inaccurate. Most Tobagoans I know have a business. However, they treat it as a side hustle. And up to yesterday, I was talking to a good friend of mine, Davian Roberts, and he was pointing out that we need to start treating our side hustles like businesses. And so that means putting the right accounting structure in place, registering the businesses. And so we already have all the ingredients in place. So what I would encourage the beginners to do is to invest the time into bettering yourself, into putting structures in place to grow your business. So I don't think there's anything I can tell the beginners. We already do it. It's just to execute at a higher level.
And the Valued Investors Handbook, and of course, this would be featured in the States. When you said something earlier about this handbook being featured, tell me, I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember.
Yes. So the idea is that when we go to the States, or when I go to the States, that the persons that I'm working with will help bring this investing book to a higher level and help us develop some programs to not only involve in stocks but also real estate, which, and you know, housing is another major issue in Tobago that we're trying to alleviate.
Very good. Yeah. All right, Mr. Ronaldo, I want to congratulate you. You're a brilliant mind, of course, you know. And your father boasts about you. You're real proud and thing and so on. So you're looking on now. Good morning, Mr. Ian Whitey Pollard, Assemblyman, sorry. And of course, glad to have you. And all the best to you and the rest of the team going out there. And you will represent us well. You will do us proud. All right? Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, very good.